to the Safety Doc Podcast with author, radio host, and nationally recognized safety expert, Dr. David Perrodin. Join us each week as we discuss the best and most bizarre practices in safety preparation and crisis response. Follow Dr. Perrodin on Twitter at SafetyPhD. And remember, the truth will keep you safe.
Hey everyone, it is your good friend Dr. David Perrodin from down here in the historic North Star recording studio on this very chilly 19 degrees Fahrenheit Saturday, December 17th, 2022. Folks, it's not going to get any warmer here. We will be down into the single digits by Christmas. But I guess we have to deal with it. We might have a snowstorm Thursday, another 3 to 6 inches. I was outside today removing more snow from my spruce trees in the back. The snow completely brought the limbs down on my evergreen like I've never seen before in 20 years here. So I had to cut off one of those limbs that had cracked, but the rest seemed okay. And then it bounced back after I got the weight off of it. And then all of the landscaping, the shrubs, arborvitaes and so forth around the house, barberries, I needed to get the snow off of those. They were all bent over. So yeah, a lot of limbs down. Thankfully, nothing real big in my area here. So, but yeah, tended to my spruces in the back. They're over 50 foot tall, about 20 years old. I planted those when we first moved here. It's little containers they came in, but yeah, I didn't want them to freeze to the ground. That's the thing with the branches being down in the ground. We're not going to have it above freezing for probably another 10 days. I spent some time out there to liberate the branches from sticking to the ground, and the tree was happy, and things are looking okay. Probably would have been fine, but didn't want to take any chances with losing a couple limbs. That is a beautiful tree. Hey, welcome to in the chat here to Solitude Surfer and to our good friend Mike McClune. So Merry Christmas. I have the Christmas penguin and also the elf in back of us, wishing you a Merry Christmas. So we are closing in on a payment here for the channel for advertising and for super chats and super stickers. So we have 2 weeks to the end of the year, and then that will make it or not. Will we actually get a payout in 2020 from YouTube that I can show to my tax preparer and say, hey, the channel was monetized and look at this, there's a payment from YouTube. Put it in the old tax grinder there and let's count it up. But, or will that not happen? I don't know. So it's going to be close, folks. It's going to be a close one, but thank you for your support of the channel. I appreciate that. I worked today on the show for Monday and put the blog post together for that. There's new legislation that's been passed. We're going to talk about opioids and what that means for schools, how schools might have some options available to them, but then is this something that means we're going to have Noxalone or generic Narcan in schools or not? And then I talked more today with a grower, a hemp farmer, and we are getting closer to putting together a show where he will be the guest. So today we worked on the questions for the show, and I could sense it's a great guy, right? So, says, yeah, these are prevalent questions. This is his expertise area, but I could tell he was not sure. Like, am I trying to put this issue where I'm opposed to it? Or is it something where I'm kind of more open-minded in using like medicinal CBD in schools with a doctor's order, that is my position, especially for epilepsy. But But I have some questions. So we went through those. He thought they were all good. In the areas that he's like, I know these are questions that come up quite a bit. So, and I don't know when I'll have him on the show, but it looks like that's coming together. So hopefully it won't be too long. And then any questions you have, right, about, kind of CBD oil and how you know what you're getting, right? What areas researchers are studying, if there's any steps forward with the FDA. Is there like a CBD oil lobby committee that's working? So, things like that. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. And that show. So anyway, Monday is show 199. That's the one where I'm going to be talking about some new opioid prevention. Not really prevention. It's opioid reversal legislation, which means administering of Narcan or Naloxone with kind of a standing order. You don't see that very often, but we're going to get into that. And then we have our good friend Ron Wayne, the Kentucky Batman, is here. There he is, Kentucky Batman. So we got the Kentucky Penguin in back of me. The Penguin and Batman were rivals back in the original Batman series. So yeah, that's show 199. And then before the end of the year, we'll have show 200, which is pretty awesome because when I started this channel, 5-6 years ago, I don't know if I go back to show number 1, but since I've been saving them, right, I actually have all those shows. It's really, when I first started out, I'd never thought I would get to like 100 shows. And I never thought I would get up to like finally 200. It's Misty Mrs. Wayne, and she finished the book today. So hopefully it is all good and you felt that was well worth your time to do that. So, well, thank you. It means a lot that you did that. Somebody emailed me today asking about the book and also asking if it was coming out in audiobook. And I said, yes, there is. I said, there's like a 4-minute preview already on Barnes and Noble and stuff. The retail sample's already available. So you can, get a little taste for that. But I said, yeah, hang on. It's out there. So all good. All pro lemon ton in the house. So yeah, not biking weather now, buddy. It's 18 degrees here at the moment, and it's slippery outside because we got this kind of freezing fog type stuff. Like I cleaned off the driveway today, but still a little slick in some spots. I don't want to use salt because that'll just refreeze. Plus, it's not good for the concrete. So typically, I'll just put some fireplace ash out there. I don't have any sand, which it probably wasn't good thinking on my part. I should have got a bucket, like a 5-gallon pail of sand. But fireplace ash works fine. You just can't get real crazy with it. So, because I don't want it to track. Once it tracks into the garage and stuff, then it kind of makes like a paste, and you just don't want to be dragging that stuff around. So, but a little bit of ash adds traction and does a nice job. So it is Bolo. Look at this. Bolo. Giving the shout out there. Misty Mrs. Wayne is saying, definitely worth the time. I don't usually read books like that, but it was an awesome read. I'm not just saying that because I know the author. Well, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so Misty Mrs. Wayne, what was maybe like 1 or 2 things, if you want to put it in the chat, that you really were surprised, with the book as you're reading, that you were like, whoa, I didn't expect like to read this or to think about like things in this way. So yeah, Misty Mrs. Wayne is talking about the book, The Velocity of Information, right here, which was released in April. It's out there in hard copy, paperback, and ebook. And in April 12th, it releases an audiobook. So awesome book. I know the guy who wrote it, this guy. So The Velocity of Information. So it's one of those books too, when you think back, probably you can attest to this, Misty Mrs. Wayne, but when you think back to the year 2020, like the entire year pretty much, right? And when you read the book, there's a lot of things I think you think about that you might not be thinking about now. I guess what I mean by that is like, as you go through the book and you have this very vivid timeline and very vivid description of things. Again, it's not just a book about 2020, but that everybody awoke to be essential or non-essential, right? Like we don't really think about that. Nobody talks about that. And then, if you get 5 people together, and maybe some of you did that, you got 5 people together and you're checking in with them every couple of days. Hey, like what's in stock at the store by you? Is the gas station out of quarters? Are they buying quarters from you? Were you issued essential papers for travel? These types of things. What are they reporting on the news? What were the first 3 stories on the news? And so I think that's really good to figure out when things are really crazy, like really chaotic. That when you have that network, it helps ground you pretty fast. So yeah, I am really glad that I wrote it. I'm glad that you read it, Mrs. Wayne. So Misty Mrs. Wayne is like, oh, it's hard to pick a few. So that's the answer I used to give in class when I didn't read it. I'd have to like quick go through, but I know you read it. So yeah, I'll say my favorite chapter. Looking, my lights kind of shifted here. Not a big thing, but symmetry is very important to me as I look forward. Like, so if the 2 monitors on the side, so when it gets out of symmetry, it's not great. But the interview I did with Robert Travis, and when I wrote the chapter about his experience as a crab boater, that was the most powerful chapter that I wrote. And part of it was because I got to know Travis. Like I had him on the show before and I brought him back, and he had never told that story before, like for a book, for an interview. So there was this big, level of trust. And, that's one thing when you write these chapters, right, as an author, you got to be honest with people how you're going to portray them. And I mean, everybody I wanted to portray them. So, if someone reads the book 5 years from now or whatever, they're going to have an accurate image of somebody, not sensationalized. So, and then you also have to look out for people. Like if they share stuff with you and you're like, oh, like that's a really cool story. But if I put that in the book, like, I don't know if that's going to reflect really well upon you, or maybe kind of like the industry you're working in. So let's try to find a different example. But anyway, that was, I remember listening to that transcription. It was so funny because when I would interview people, I would record it. And say, okay, and I record this because then I'll do a transcript and I can make sure I'm quoting you exactly. And everyone's like, yeah, but I don't type fast. So in some cases I would hire out the transcribing, but that's that takes a while. It was good, but that's expensive too. And a publisher, they don't really like, I don't like that cost. And so some of the stuff I transcribe myself. So I would listen to it really slow. So it's like listening to 2 intoxicated people have a discussion that's pretty intellectual for like an hour and a half. Well, what did you think about being on the boat when you come in and there'd be a line of 40 guys waiting for the payphone? I mean, it was almost like crack, but I mean, that's as fast as I could type, right? So it's pretty crazy. But all right, I will check back with you, Misty. It's our good friend. Congratulations coming out here to Bolo, who scored a 99 on his Longhorn safety course today. So, Bolo, this is for you. Well, this is for you right here. These flying cards. That's and congratulations. I know it's probably not what you expected, man, but it's what I can generate today. So, all right. I almost couldn't get rid of that, by the way. Let's see here. Maybe I can do a little better for you. Look at this. Give you a thumbs up. And I'm also going to do this for you, Bolo. Gosh darn it, you deserve it. Laugh out loud. No, Reddit just trying to pick one section. I love the force majeures and black swan for somebody that's never heard of the terms. Thank you. Thank you. When I did that, so it's toward the end of the book. I have a section where I made the argument that chaos. Okay, so when you look at chaos in the way it's described, it's usually like it's you're either in chaos or you're not in chaos. It's kind of like a light switch. It's on or off. I'm like, yeah, that's not really right though. There's different levels of chaos, and there's thing in this whole thing called like it's a black swan. So 9/11 was a black swan, something that's unpredictable and has immediate substantial ramifications across the world. Pandemic, black swan. Like inflation right now, probably not a black swan, because although it's incremental and significant, it's nothing that happened like in 48 hours or a week. It's more gradual to be a black swan. So force majeure is when you break a contract, and it's a condition written in all contracts. Well, pretty much all contracts, but if I'm supposed to, do a book event at a bookstore, right? And I sign a contract, and I'll be there for so long and, whatever. And then, the bookstore has a contract that they'll have so many books available and they'll have an area for me. And, things are pretty easy, but there could be a force majeure where the bookstore can say, hey, like if there's a power outage, right? We're not going to, and you show up for this, too bad. We're not going to compensate for this. We're not going to reschedule. So, could be if there's, 2 feet of snow, right? It could be canceled. On the same thing, if I'm, diagnosed with, pneumonia or something like that, right? Or slip on the ice when I'm out in my driveway, right? And break a leg and need to be up in traction for a week and can't make this, right? That would also be usually a force majeure. It has to be something unforeseen and significant that impedes your ability to fulfill a contract. Now, that was pretty rare that you'd have a force majeure be carried out before the year 2020. Like people would go, companies would work overtime and just do everything they could to prevent a force majeure of saying, hey, we can't provide your product. So it was extremely rare that you'd see these. And suddenly in 2020, force majeures were showing up everywhere. Companies, saying, hey, like, a school district, you contracted for like, lunch services with us, and we're bringing you, different products and stuff like that. We can't do it. We can't get this stuff. So we're going to break our contract. And sometimes there's penalties in that, but if they can declare a force majeure and saying, we can't get it because all the supply chains are disrupted, that's beyond our control, kind of act of God type thing, but actually act of government, right? Then they're not responsible. If they just said, oh, like someone is willing to pay us more and, but so we're going to break your contract. Yeah. Then they'd have to pay to get out of it. But in these situations, they would declare it. And then it would be up to a judge to ultimately say, yes, like it was a force majeure or no. But of course, like during the pandemic, everybody that declared force majeure for the most part, that's just non-arguable, right? You're not going to be able to challenge and say, oh, because, this company said this and they couldn't provide the food, and then the company would just come out and say, here's our suppliers, and we had multiple and the supply chain fell. And so anyway, yeah, to know what those terms, and Misty, to be honest, I didn't know what force majeure was until like I was age 40, I think. And then Black Swan I had heard about, and I had read the book Black Swan by Nassan Taleb, which was a very good book. But then I just, people kept throwing the term black swan around, and I'm like, force majeure and crisis and chaos, and that's another thing in that chapter is crisis is different than chaos. If you have a crisis situation, you believe there can be a remedy to that. Apollo 13 was a crisis. right? You believe you can solve that there is the correct equation. You can come up with it. Um, and the thing is, when you get to chaos, though, chaos is not it doesn't scale in a linear way, and you don't have a solution for it. So you just have to kind of last throughout the chaos. You have to live through and get on the other side of it. So by the way, it's 17 degrees here right now, and it is very cold as far as like the humidity's dropped, and it will continue to drop down to single digits through Christmas. So Z 69 degrees outside. Yeah, I was outside today and I said I was working in the back of my property, taking snow off of my spruce, which are like 50 feet tall, because the limbs on, throughout the whole thing are still like down to the ground. Well, not toward the top, but I was kind of concerned about that because I didn't want them to freeze to the ground. And that would have, because now with the temperatures getting really cold and it's going to possibly snow again 3 to 6 inches on Thursday, I don't want to deal with that. So, possible damage to limbs. So I worked out there on the bottom, probably like 10 feet of the tree, which I could get to with my broom. And take your time, don't mess with the tree too much, but get the snow off. And then the limbs immediately started to recover. As long as I can keep those limbs off the ground, that tree will be okay. Those trees, they're two spruce next to each other. My evergreen now, like the bottom limbs are already like 3 foot off the ground. They recovered that much. So I'll be okay with that. I've never seen it like that, by the way, in 20 years here, where we've had an overnight, like just heavy snow. And thankfully I got to my landscape shrubs and bushes around the house the next day and was able to get all of those pretty much recovered. Because that could be easily $1,000 worth of damage to your landscaping. But I think I caught everything, and because it was the day after it had snowed, it was like 33, 34. Everything was still pretty flexible, even though the snow was heavy. But so yeah, it's Corey Slater, a Tim Hortons ad. By goodness, I hope you fill up your menu on that. Tim Hortons. I could go for, I don't know, we don't have Tim Hortons. I could actually go for a hot dog right now, or a brat, probably a brat. In summer, the what is it? The Elks Club next to the post office, across from the farmers market, they sell brats and hot dogs. So I go to the farmers market on Thursday, and when it's held, it's not held now, but look at this. It's one fast stack. Our good friend ACB. CBC's for British Columbia. So, hey, buddy. Thanks for the shout out. I updated on when you go to my channel. I updated the intro of what you see for the 51 seconds. I actually I made it a little softer at the start, because even like it kind of annoys me after a while if I go to the channel and like, that's too loud. And then I loaded the version you saw right now that has the video in it where I'm moving around and stuff like that. So yeah, so let's do an update here. For a channel here, we are about $30 away from the payout. If it does happen, I don't know if it will or won't, in between ad revenue and super chats, that this channel will actually have the payout for the year 2022. We're first eligible for monetization in December with our 4,000 watch hours, and so things are looking up every day. So I appreciate that you support the advertisers and support the show. So Alberta, oh my God, I got it wrong. It's AB. I should know. What did AB? ACDC. I think it was ABDC is what I used to do for you, buddy. I think I used to do this. Instead of ACDC. Yeah, I used to do ABDC. Sorry. So Alberta So dun dun. So Canada's Texas, that's what they call Alberta. So yes, yeah, you're there. I don't know. Have you seen your good friend Alex from Curiosity Inc? Have you seen him around town? Has he tried to buy anything from you? So is he trying to sell you anything? I haven't watched his channel in a long time. I was into it when they did the little documentary about the house the hoarder's house they bought and all the stuff they found. But then I don't know. After a while, it wasn't anything really negative about the channel, but I just kind of like lost interest in it. I haven't watched any of those episodes for quite a while, maybe a couple months. I thought it was really strange when he was building this house, that was big house, new house in Alberta. And then, so he had this video series as they were building it. It was interesting, but they did, it wasn't copper piping. It was it's plastic tubing, which I'm sure, right, is obviously, has, maybe it's a new industry thing going on. I don't know. But, so this massive house, and I'm like, whoa, like I just, would you trust that in 20 years that's not going to crack? And then what do you do for fittings on something like that? Like my house is copper. I mean, my house is almost 50 years old. As far as like piping and stuff like that, I mean, everything's good. But I just remember watching that dude. So I don't know, one fast stack, what's going on up there, but if that's kind of a thing, and maybe if it does like get cold and freezes, maybe you're better off with it. But I just thought that was kind of a quirky thing. Do you know where that place is? Obviously, I don't have to give directions, but so yeah, I don't know. That was a channel I was kind of like really hip on for a while, and then it just kind of faded away again. So, but our good friend One Fast Stack there. So from Alberta, it's from Alberta. They call him the Alberta Batman. So, yeah, you've probably heard about that. We have the Kentucky Batman, but then in Canada, the Alberta Batman, One Fast Stack, the Alberta Batman. Canada's Texas, right? Yeah, Alberta because of the oil. Isn't that the deal going on up there? So, yeah. Oh, yeah, we did have something we were going to go through. So, so One Fast Stack. We went back to copper mostly because the plastic didn't work out too good. No, yeah. See, I don't know if you watched any of those episodes when Alex, they're building the house there. So house has to be what, probably between 700 and with the house itself, $700,000 to $900,000, wouldn't you think? Like for the size of that, and with like a 6-car garage, but and I'm like, dude, and they're doing like really expensive stuff, kind of throughout and finishing the woodwork on the stairs and all that, and then they're showing the plumber in there, and I'm like, this is all. I mean, I worked in plumbing for 4 years, and I'm like, we're not talking like CPVC pipe for hot water and then PVC. We're talking flexible, clear tubing that is somehow water drinkable grade. And I don't even know how you do the fittings on that, right? I'm sure that has its own set of fittings that go with it, but I'm just like, wow, like, you're putting this behind drywall and a 2-story house, and your accessibility on, this stuff, PEX, is that what it is? Hey, subscribe to the channel, OPR8R 357, if you haven't, buddy. But maybe I'm missing it, but I was just like, that just seems odd. It seems like a problem I would not want to deal with down the road, especially if I was his age, and you're likely going to live there, 30, 40 years. I don't know. So, wow. So crazy. All right. This guy subscribed. Thank you, buddy. So we have something fun here for just today's show. So this is the states that have their name a plow contest, snowplow contest. So let's get to that. PEX is stronger than copper. So good to know. I was wondering what was happening. This one starts out, let me get over to this article. So let me do a share screen. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Boom, doom, doom. All right. All right. How many times can I say all right? I think this is pretty cool. So, name a snowplow contest. This one is Massachusetts. So, you have until December 23rd to go in and submit to name a snowplow. So, I looked into this, and what they do is so this has been happening about 3 years now. So, Minnesota has it, Massachusetts. So, cold weather climates, they have regions where people can submit names for snowplows, and they put them on the side of the plow, kind of right here where it says name a plow. So they put the name on it then. And so I'll tell you why I think this is a really clever and good idea. And I'll also tell you why I think this would be a horrible idea for a police car or a fire truck. But there are some other things I think you could kind of push this out and do this with. So, okay, so they've got the snow plow, and here it says name a plow. So let me read the article here. So it's pretty short. It's kind of weird because this article, it says here's a sign, Massachusetts Department of Transportation name a plow. And then the article's about Minnesota and their contest, which ended yesterday. So I'm like, okay, so here's your graphic, which is Massachusetts, and their snowplow naming thing ends in a week. And the article's about Minnesota. So let's do this one. For the third year in a row, Minnesota is opening the non-traditional Name a Snowplow contest to residential voting. The contest, held by Minnesota Department of Transportation, has included past winners that include Betty Whiteout, Plowy McPlowFace, Ctrl Salt Delete, Snowbi Wan Kenobi, Ope, just going to plow right past you, and the truck formerly known as Plow. So some of those I think are kind of funny. Not all of them, but so Snowbi Wan Kenobi is probably my favorite there. And okay, so voters are encouraged to head to the DOT website to cast their vote. So I went there, and it says yesterday was the last day. So up until next Friday, the 16th, which is yesterday, the only limitations are 30-character name that excludes vulgarity and political partnership. Okay. So there's a related story. Let's go to it here in just a second. But this is fast becoming an international tradition all over, not just America, but the Northern Hemisphere. You might see this in Canada. Bolo, is it up there? Contests are being held by the Ohio DOT, the Massachusetts DOT, Nebraska, several cities, including Edmonton, Calgary, and might it be Alberta? I don't know. It became an even better idea since the adoption of map applications that gave residents in blizzard-prone areas real-time updates on the positioning of the snowplows. Yeah, I guess it's interesting. It's kind of useful. Last year, GNN of a similar contest in Scotland, or GNN reported, which included winners like You're a Blizzard, Harry, Brinestone Plowboy. I like that one. Lord Coldermort, Spready Van Halen, Mary Queen of Salt, and On Her Majesty's Slippery Surface. In Minnesota, 8 winners will be chosen, all of which will feature in each district. So, yeah. So let's go over to, I didn't see this for Wisconsin. Related, the public gave name to snowplows in, I don't want to buy light bulbs. Lord Coldermont. So, or Coldermort. So, I don't know. So there's the truck. I would put it much bigger than that, you know. Like put the whole side of the thing here. Let's get a couple others that came up here. Oh, snow chili distance. That is clever. I like that. So, okay. Look at Mike. Mike's like, how about Billy Big Rigging? Oh my god. Yeah. So wow. So look at this. Snowshally distance. Like if you would have done this in 2020, people would be like, not cool. But I think what you do right here is you flip things on their head when you do things like this. Meaning, right, people feel government is distant, which it largely is. And that, that there's positionality. I'm just one person, the government is huge, is this compels tax dollars from me and things like that. But I think for public morale, so I wrote about this in the Velocity of Information, a large chapter on public morale, and especially during stressed times like right now, right? Inflationary times, just life immediately after a pandemic. But you need ways for people kind of, to be able to blow off steam, be able to have some humor in regard to some kind of unifying event that does involve then these like the government agencies, right? And I think there's some humility in that, which does play out very well. So, like looking at this snowshally distance, right? It does point out the craziness with the socially distance, right? How that being part of a lexicon. If you said it, you just immediately people would get 6 feet away. But I think this is really a good thing to do with a snowplow or a city sweeper or a dump truck, right? Like all things that are more kind of municipality trucks. I don't at all think this would be appropriate for police, fire, ambulance. Like I would never want to see that on any of those vehicles. And I know, police cars now, there'll be a couple cars that they do this here in my, I don't know, community or county where they take cars and they theme them out. So here's, for Autism Awareness Month or, something else. And they have them, in the special wraps and stuff. I don't like that. And again, it has nothing to do with the initiative. I don't think with those types of vehicles, you should interfere with them. I think they need to look uniform. And also, I think when they're coming up to, they're interfacing with people that are very stressed or devastated situations, I don't want a fire truck with, emblem of food allergy awareness on the side of it pulling up to a fire. Um, so, but again, I think this works really good. I would move this to city, like a street sweeper. I think every street sweeper should have its own name. Sweepy makes sweepy sweeps. So, but wouldn't that be cool? Like, so Corey's saying morale's pretty low here. Yeah, I think morale could use a boost in a lot of places, and that's why doing something like this, and you drive by, this passes you, or you go by it, or you see it parked. If you look at somebody's face, there's probably a little bit of a smile there, right? Um, and it lets people, participate in something, and it's pretty easy to do. But I mean, I really like this. I think this is a good thing. Um, so yeah, let's go back. So what would you name um a street sweeper? So many construction type machines have a nickname. Yeah, and I've seen big rigs like with nicknames and stuff on the grill and stuff like that, or the wind deflectors. So um what would you name like a street sweeper? Or what would you submit here? Let me keep going through here. Sleetwood Mac here for this one. Not bad. I don't I, I don't know what that one was. Someone had Dr. Snow. License to chill. Yeah. Coldfinger. I don't know. Snow. I don't. I'm not really sure. There wasn't anything more clever. Brightest Diamond. Any place Diamond. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Sled Zeppelin. Nice. I still like Rhinestone Plowboy off of play off of Rhinestone Cowboy. So, yeah, Sleetwood Mac. Look at that. So, um, yeah, what would you do? What would you name again, like a street sweeper? We've always got the goofy street sweeper going by. Well, I've not now in winter, but I think in summer is always tooling around. It just looks silly, you know. And then it's really, they move super slow, and it's kind of like a cartoonish thing, right? when you got a when you got the street sweeper moving around, um, it's so I don't really know how much it truly cleans up the street, but and then people park their cars and you just see like where it moved out and past them, so you don't really have this uniform cleaning of the street. But I think street sweepers should all have like a really fun, unique name. All of them should be named, and it should be on kind of like they name boats, right? Like, but it should be. So, what would you do for a street sweeper? So, Bolo, Corey, guys, what would you do here? Um, Corey's saying, "Oh, all right. Well, Corey, take care, buddy. Um, hope it's a little warmer by you. It's now still 19 degrees. It was 18. I guess it's up, but it's supposed to be in single digits here the next few days. So the people will be getting their ice fishing shacks out. I talked to a guy yesterday, young kid, like in his 20s. Like he's ready to go, man. He's already been out ice fishing, but now it's looking really good. Solitude is saying, moving my room by ya. Okay. Misty Mrs. Wayne Frosty the Sweeper Man. I like it. See, like that would be really cool. And I I think this is a terrific idea. I think municipalities, should have yeah, you get to there'll be like a dump truck, which then is usually the snowplow. They just put the plow in it, and then like the street sweeper. Just do like two things. You don't have to name everything, but because the street sweeper moves really slow, right? So no one's going to be like, "Whoa, what did it say on the side of that? That thing flew by." Shoom, like um, So that's the thing, right? The sweeper is going to, plenty of time to be like, oh, it's Frosty the Sweeper Man. So I like it. I think it's really a cool idea. And it's a nice positive interaction between people and local government. And it's a good morale thing. I mean, when I was doing my research on civilian morale for the book, you can't underscore the the power of some of these things, which kind of don't seem like they're really significant. Like, right, just naming a street sweeper or a plow truck or something, but it makes an impact in a positive way. Dustin off, man. Oh my god, that is there. That would Dustin off. That is, oh my god. So this is cool. I don't know anybody that does this. So let's do uh street sweeper. Well, tell you what. Um Oswego, Oregon has it. They did have it. And so let's do this. This is Oswego, Oregon, the city of Lake Oswego. Excuse me. Okay, so they have street sweepers, and they had three of them that they named in their fleet here: Oscar, Rufus, and Bert. I'll tell you, Dustin Hoffman and Frosty the Sweeperman are better than any of those. So, um, yeah. What? So, huh? I'm not. I kind of get it, but at the same time, um, I'm like, whoa! Like these aren't really that funny. I mean, yes, they're a name, but like Dustin Hoffman, come on, like that is really good. Frosty the Sweeper Man, yeah. So interesting. So yeah, but so we come into this thing of civilian morale and things that you can do. And there's another part of this which is really important: is these aren't forever. So all of these campaigns, that's another part that I wrote about in the book. You need to run a campaign that has a start and an end to it. And then when it ends, it goes away. And then you can do it again at some point. Like if it's seasonal, that makes sense. Um, but you know, that's the other part. So that's what all of these do is they sunset after the season, and then they let people, do it again, come up with a new one. So that's a very big part of the civilian morale campaigns is there's a start and then people participate and then it's there. And usually about 3 months, you can make a civilian campaign last and then you have to fade it out, bring something else in. In World War One, in World War One, in it was not in Austria, they had what was called the Wehrmann M. Eisen. And the Wehrmann M. Eisen, men of Austria. Yeah. What? What? Here it is. All right. So I'm going to get into that. Welcome, Andrew. Sweep card desired. So are all winning hands that you guys are putting out there. YouTube needs a better system to let us know live streams are happening. Vanessa saying, "Ho!" And then she's saying, "Hi." Stanley Sweeper. So I wrote about this in the Velocity of Information. And in World War One, in Austria, there was a campaign for civilian morale. So what you're looking at um, is let's actually get a picture here. So that's a soldier, and the soldier is here's a look at the foot. The soldier is made out of wood. So right, if you look at the soldier here, it looks like it's all iron. Like that's, but the soldier's actually made out of wood. And this was an activity called hammering the Wehrmann en Eisen, or the man made of steel, man made of nails. So what would happen in World War One is you would pay a certain small amount of money in Austria, and you would get a nail. They'd hand you a nail and a hammer, and you would hammer that nail into the statue. They did this with boats. They did this with soldiers, and it was really like soldiers, boats. I think they had like a tank and some things, but most of it would be soldiers and boats. That's kind of and these things are really rare today. After World War II, a lot of these were destroyed. And then in recent times, like when I was writing this book, I was going to put a picture in there of a Wehrmann and Eisen. And I had a friend that went to a museum in Austria, and he met with the museum director. He didn't go there just as a project for me. I'm like, hey, would you mind going over to, but he's in Europe, and he went over, and he said, hey, like, his professor's writing this book, and the museum no longer had these on display because they were considered insensitive, because this was affiliated with the most of them that were still around were affiliated with World War II and the Axis, especially Germany. So those were destroyed, or they just weren't shown anymore. So they took these and put them all in a back room. And so anyway, my friend was able to get pictures of these, and then had a signed letter from the museum saying that they would give me the rights to use the pictures in my book. And when I ran it by my publisher's like, yeah, the thing is, right, even though you have a letter from the museum and these are pictures that your friend took, so they're not like registered or copyrighted, it's just still too dicey. Not that it would offend people necessarily, but I tried, I was going to use it to give a context, and they were just like, they wanted more evidence from the and I'm like, it's not like I can just, get a hold. These people are like in a different country, like, so it got to be a pretty big obstacle to try to get the permission levels I needed to be able to use those. So I didn't, I didn't. But anyway, so the story here is that you would pay, and you'd get a nail and you'd pound it. So you can see here the foot has all these nails in it. And then the money would go toward widows of the soldiers who were killed. But the community, right? So the town, they would get to see this, the Iron Soldier, to show the strength of the town, and public morale would be boosted by the Iron Soldier. Now, this worked for, maybe, per what I read, a year. And then after that, it kind of faded away. But for, for the first 3-6 months, really strong, kind of for a year, it was still out. They still do this in Germany, but they have a Wehrmann Eisen, which is just a man structure. But now they kind of do like a fireman. And it's very common in Germany right now for fire departments when they're doing fundraisers, that they do this practice. You can buy a nail for like equivalent, $1, whatever that is in the German currency, and you nail it in, right? And that's then your donation to the fire department. You're stealing the firemen, um, stealing as and putting the steel coating on. So yeah, so this was one of the campaigns that I wrote about, and it's really cool, and it's one of those things too that thank you, Misty, Mrs. Wayne. Yeah, I meant to look that up. So there's the article, and it's referenced out in the book too, so you can check that citation. But it's Atlas Obscura. Um, it's really a cool article, and I wish I could have put the pictures in the book, but like I said, it got to be too big of a thing. So that was strange. But anyway, so this is a good example, and I just put the link. I think you have it would be well worth to read that article. So like if you're growing up now, right, you never hear about Wehrman and Eisen. I didn't know about it until I researched and started to talk to people um, in Germany, for example. But now, I mean, you're not going to find these anywhere. Like they're not publicly out anymore. You know, these pictures were taken. These are all vanishing right now. And so, yeah, it's really strange to, go. You talk to these museums, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't put them on display anymore. We still, how long are they going to keep them?" And um, you know, again, you wouldn't necessarily think this would be um, right. This would be offensive, but then they're going back and saying, we don't want to, even like with a context, it's really weird. So I don't know how they display, for example, their other World War II museum stuff. I was reading though that in the last like 10 or 15 years, a lot of um, Germany, Austria, Italy, World War II museum type stuff has been sold to like Western museums. Um, just largely like the Eastern museums where this authentically happened, they don't want this. Like I had a friend too that lived over, was it in Poland? And he was saying, yeah, like the concentration camps, the so now they've become this huge tourism thing. I don't say that in a negative way, but um, but he said, people around here who, were alive when these camps were in operation, or their father, grandfather, was living in the town or working at the camp in some capacity, whatever it was. When I say camp, of course, I'm saying prisoner death camp, right? But they're like, we don't, we'd rather just like, not preserve this and kind of move on from this part of history. So, but it's really weird, like in some of those areas. But I don't know. I'm kind of diverging. But anyway, the Wehrman Eisen was a very, very successful campaign for civilian morale. So, wrote about that in my book, and that was something too. At the start of the pandemic, we didn't see a national civilian morale, and that's when I was talking with Megan Usui a couple months ago when she was on the show, saying, what could have been a civilian morale thing, and she thought maybe like something a song that was themed on fitness that everybody could kind of do and strengthen your body and your in turn your immune system. So like there was We Are the World, but could it be something or of a cross between that and a Super Bowl shuffle, kind of like a fitness shuffle or something like that? And as crazy as it sounds, like people do get into that type of stuff, but we don't have these things anymore. We don't have these national campaign things, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just it's different. So yeah. What else is what else is happening here? Look at this. Andrew is saying the Axis was the bad guys and the Allies were the good guys. So a song like Put the Ice Cream Down could have been catchy. Holy smokes. So there wasn't anything for a national campaign for morale, which was really strange. Because it was there, the Committee for National Morale in 1942, and it just seemed like this would have happened. Not saying like everybody would have like gotten into it and believed it, and that they wouldn't have seen through it as just a attempt to keep people calm or something like that. But even though like it still should have happened, so I don't understand that oversight in that. I guess there were a lot of things kind of with civilian morale that I just saw like that we're totally missing, that we're not missing in like World War II, Great Depression. So yeah, just really strange. It's really strange that this big hole in civilian morale just gone. So yeah. But anyway, I think naming those plow trucks was really a cool idea. And I was going to see here if we can we get in here and actually submit one of these. I think if we can. Massachusetts. Oh, Massachusetts is still open. Let's check. Massachusetts, name a plow. We're going to try it. We're going to try it right now. Dun, 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 and the Eep from Ebony was. All right. Here we go. Submit your entry. No, we'll do it live. Will you give feedback? No. Will you stay on the line for a 15-second survey? No. Absolutely not. I will not do that. So, yeah, you're not getting any of my time for free. So forget it. All right, guys, let's do this. Have a clever name. Each winning classroom receives a $100 gift card. I don't know if we can call this a classroom, what we're doing tonight. We're going to see how far we can go in this. So, and I don't think you should limit this to a classroom, right? You should allow anybody to do this. So entrance must be Massachusetts residents. And that's okay because Bolo has residency Massachusetts and Canada. So makes us eligible. You have to be in kindergarten or through 8th grade with permission of a parent. Yeah, I'm not liking this. I think this would be, honestly, I think this would be okay for like half. I think the other half are just open to anybody. So, because actually the adults get it a little more than the kids do, right? The kids, an 8th grader is not out there driving his car around, passing the snowplow. Selection committee members will not include any Mass DOT employees. Yeah, I got it. Entries will be accepted. Yeah. Oh, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation may substitute a prize of equal or greater value. Oh, darn it. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, folks. So they're giving you a $100 gift card for school supplies. And they may substitute a prize of equal or greater value. What's that all about? I don't Here's a jacket. Yeah. Here's an orange road cone. May substitute a prize of equal or greater value. So here they are. We've had a hard time offloading. The old rusty snowplow with the leaking transmission. So it's yours. It's valued at $500. It's yours. Drag it over, put it in your driveway. It seems like it's a good thing. It seems like it's weird that they would actually have in there, they may substitute a prize of equal or greater value. Who does that? Well, when does that happen? You're a friend of ours. Here's a $10,000 gift card to Taco Town. No profanity or inappropriate language. So yeah, got it. They can reject any submission for any reason. If you want to be that way, then it's fine, I guess. Entrant agrees to release, defend, indemnify, hold harmless with respect to any and all claims arising from entrant's entry. Again, this is first through 8th grade. And the kid now has to hire a lawyer before he submits this. Getting a little intense here. All decisions we make are final. Kind of a lukewarm contest, don't you guys think here? I'm getting the vibe here that they're not all that hip on so this is like someone who's forced to do a contest. So the only thing I kind of like here is that they might substitute a prize of greater or equal value, but otherwise this is pretty heavy-handed for a first grader or kindergartner. So you can make it through this as a 5-year-old, man. You're in pretty good shape. There's a lot of conditions on you. How to enter. So I know. Oh, an online application. We're not going to get very far in this. So Plow name. Yeah, I could do that. I won't. I'm not going to submit it. I don't live in Massachusetts. If it was Wisconsin, but no, I'm not going to do it. But again, I think if they're going to do it this way, split it up. They name 8 plows, 4 of them named by kids, 4 of them named by anybody. So, I think that's I think it's a mistake. I don't think this should be just for kids. Again, like a kindergartner, how often is that kindergartner ever going to see the plow that they named? So this is at a state level. So this is 8 for the state and regions, just, yeah, I don't know. I'd rethink this. So let's go to the bottom here. Did you find what you're looking for on this webpage? No, I'm not going to tell. See, this is the gig here. Please tell us what you're looking for. We will use this information. I was looking for the Kentucky Batman. Every government website should have a link out to his official site. However, this one didn't. So I know you're Massachusetts, but still. Yeah. Your feedback will not receive a response. So, this form only gathers feedback about the website. Just let's pause at this, man. What is going on here with Massachusetts? So they get real technical on the name of snowplow thing, and then they're telling you, was this website, use this webpage? Did you find what you're looking for? But no. How can we improve the site? You can do up to 5,000 characters. And then do not include sensitive information such as social security bank numbers. I don't know who would do that for this response, right? But anyway, your feedback will not receive a response. Why? Then you have to click on why. Like, it's a big mystery here until you click on it and you're like, dun dun dun, dun 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 dun. This form only gathers feedback about the website. Okay. I know. Not cool. Not cool. Taxpayers should be allowed to name their construction toys. That'd be a really cool thing, wouldn't it? I think it would be a really cool thing. You know what you do? You then invite these people down, and you bring out like the equipment down by the municipality building or city hall or whatever, and you kind of do like a little gathering, right? You have the media there, and then you have the 8 people that name these things. Now, again, if it's statewide, it's probably kids not going to travel 4 hours to stand next to the snowplow. But I'm saying if you did this at a municipality level, this could be pretty cool. And people show up, and it becomes like an annual thing, and yeah, and then you get. What I would do then is I try to look for like a local business to donate like a gift card or something to like, a restaurant or, um, the greenhouse or whatever. And then, so get their name on it and get a little publicity, and someone gets a $50 gift card or something. I just think it's good PR. It's good public morale. I think it would be really cool to do that. So, Brenna Cat Snowblower of the Grateful Dead. Bolo. My town does a touch a truck for kids, so I might suggest to them to have a name contest during that. That's a good idea. They do in my town. Of course, they have open house for the fire department, but they also do an event where they partner up with a Culver's, which is a restaurant. It's kind of like a much better McDonald's, but they bring out a fire truck, usually a ladder truck, and then an ambulance and a couple police cars. And then they set up, the slides and all of that stuff and make a day of it, right? So, but the kids then can interact with the different pieces of equipment and some of those things and the first responders. And the thought is to build positive community outreach, but also to demystify some of this equipment, right? So if you're ever if an ambulance comes to your house and it has to take you to the hospital, right? You're a kid, you've never been in an ambulance. You have some primacy of the time. Oh yeah, I was at the thing at the Culver's, and I was inside the ambulance. They showed where the thing was and the stuff that's in there. So you have this expectation already. And that's one thing that's been very proven and through my book, The Philosophy of Information. If you tell people what to expect ahead of time, they largely handle things. Even if it's bad, they handle it much better. So that's something I would put out there. Is there's definite value in doing that. So yeah, that's really cool. I was sharing that my hometown, well, actually the city I live in now does this too, but every few years they deliver pizzas on the fire trucks. And so basically, you call up the pizza place, and there's like one night they do this. Or I think it's actually a whole day that they do this, but if you pay like an extra $5 or something, then your pizza arrives on a fire truck. So the reason for that, it's not really a fundraiser for the fire department, I guess. Whatever you're paying is kind of a break even for the gas. But the fire department has turnover, right? So what they do is they require whoever's on the truck that responds, kind of rotate this around. You use in newer people, right? Newer hires, newer firefighters. And when you get to where the house is you're delivering, or the property or whatever, you have to identify. You're only doing this in town. Like, you can't call in the country and, like put 40 miles round trip on a $1 million fire truck. But, what they do is when you get, so you're like, okay, there's the house. Okay, where are your water sources? If that house was on fire, Where are the hydrants? And then where would you park this truck if this was, like first on the scene or something like that? Where should this truck be? So they're identifying that in real time. Um, and they have to make real-time decisions. Oh, there's some other vehicles parked out in front of this, or something else is going on. And but imagine, you're a kid, right? And your parents have ponied up the extra money, and your pepperoni, sausage, and black olive is being delivered on a fire truck. So it pulls up in front of your house, and they stop, and then quickly, the kid can run out there, and the parent can grab a picture with them next to the fire truck, and the fire truck takes off. But that's a good thing. Those types of things I think, are really good, just in general. Now, like with this, like a morale campaign, yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily a morale campaign, but so, any what else is going on? Bolo, what is the weather like? It's currently 19, and it is dropping here. We will be in single digits Christmas Eve and Christmas. So, what is happening? Dun, 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 dun. We're going to do a little graphics here. Dun, 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 dun. So, let's see here. No. There we go. Dun, 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 snow. Dun, dun, stop. All right. Minus 5 degrees Celsius here. Feeling fine. All right. 5 degrees Celsius. Minus 5. What is that? Oh, 23 degrees. So you're a little warmer than us. I was out, and when I was outside today, it didn't feel cold. It was cold. It was like, low 20s, but I wasn't dressed extremely warm. Although I made the mistake. I went out with my other American Giant, my gray sweatshirt, when I was working on my evergreens. I got sap on it, and hopefully it came out okay. And that's the one I've had that a couple of years, and I'm not real worried about it. Like if it has a little sap, but like this one would have really bothered me, because this is the one I would probably wear more in public. The other one is just kind of around the house. But I was like, so I have on like my outdoor, winter work coat, and that's what I was wearing today, in case I got any sap. But didn't really deal with that today. Sast is saying might get down to 33 next Friday night. Keep the sprinkler on so those oranges don't freeze. 33. So mid 30s. Some flurries, but primarily dry. Yeah, we will have a white Christmas. I realized too, I kind of goofed up my timing for harvesting my kindling from out back in the woods. I should have done all of that at the end of November, and I didn't. I don't know if I was thinking like I would just go out in January, but then everything has snow on it, right? And yes, you can still kind of do that, but then I've got to bring it in, and it's got to sit, by the drain for so long to kind of thaw. And there's a lot more steps to that than just doing it. So look at this. Pretty sure there were palm trees around the manger. Wow. Look at that. So da 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 da. Dun, dun, dun. So look at all this snow coming in here, sticking on the microphone. Can't be good for it. It's like icing up the microphone. It's bad. It's bad. Put a tarp over it. So, my goodness. It's pretty crazy. So, yeah, so something, if you live in a cold weather climate like I do, or you're sentenced to it, I guess is what they would properly say. When you have a heavy snow, and that's pretty rare. Like I said, I lived here 20 years, never encountered that really heavy overnight snow where the snow itself is like extremely dense. And get out as soon as you can and use a rake or a broom, and don't get crazy with it because you don't want to amplify the weight that's on there by swinging branches and stuff around. But if you have evergreens, or like you have really nice landscape bushes, barberries or whatever, and the weight, the snow's just accumulate on them, and it's just taking them over because it's really heavy. You could put a tarp if you've got time, and if it's, but some of the stuff that I have is way too tall to tarp or kind of rope. And this was out of the blue, like this kind of developed, and even the weather folks were surprised. But get out there and knock that stuff off. Like take your time and sweep it off, and just get everything and you'll immediately see the branches start to respond and go back to their normal positions. But if you don't do that and that stuff freezes, and man, you can really mess with your landscaping, your evergreens. I had one branch that had already broken off from the weight, but it gets down to single digits. Stuff can freeze in that position. And so, but it's got quite a bit of flexibility in the next, within, like 12 hours of it happening. So my neighbors saw me do that, and they went out and did the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have done it if I would have done it. And I went online and I was like Googling, should you do this? And is it what's the best way? And then, yeah, I meant your firewood. Yep. So what I would do is, I bring it into the house in banana boxes, and the stuff that I get from out back. And then I put it in my firewood room. But usually it's dry. And then the banana boxes are all vented slots. So the stuff that's even any humidity just kind of gets out. But I don't want to put it in the banana box because then they would get damp and from the kindling. So I do have another room, our laundry room, where I could kind of stack them up in a plastic bin near the drain that has slotted. I don't know. I don't really have it thought out that well, but yeah, I don't want to be bringing stuff in that has snow on it. So again, I didn't think that one out very well. I'll tell you though, sticks are amazing for starting fires. I heat my house with wood, 20 years, and I always had kindling, which is still good, that my fireplace guy will bring in some big boxes, just stuff he gets when he's splitting wood, the wood splitter stuff that comes off the side. And that works well. But like to get stuff going, dried sticks of like a quarter to a half inch, especially like birch, whoa, get those out in the woods. They are awesome. So lost the cherry blossom from heavy snow. Don't know why brought it up, but more than 20 years ago. Yeah, that's the thing. I saw some neighbors too who had like just some pretty fragile, lilacs and stuff that were, was bent over to the ground. And I was like, man, like you got to get out there and deal with that because that thing might not ever recover. Yeah, snapped right down the middle. My thankfully the evergreens, which were planted before I got here, and they were all planted near like the cable box and like the power box, which is at the end of the property. And apparently the guy planted them to try to cover it up, and it never worked. And I was like, never plant anything where there's a lot of wires. So it's just a mess. I should hire somebody, like the guy that's done our trees forever and our neighbor. But I should just hire him and say, take the stuff out the best you can. And then, just mound up dirt, because I just think it's a bad idea to have those there. Like if anything falls, it's going to damage the boxes and stuff like that too. But anyway, like the one limb, a pretty big limb split. So I went out with my saw and cut that off right away. to take some pressure off the tree. Plus, like, it was just gone. Now, thankfully, that faces away from my property, so I'll never see it. But I checked everything else and it looked good. And my 2 spruce are fine in the back, although, like, I'm not sure the bottom limbs would have made it if I wouldn't have worked and got those released today because they were stuck to the ground. But yeah, around the house, my barberries, a really nice yellow barberries. I did all this landscaping 20 years ago. We moved here. I did big diagrams, and all my relatives showed up, and we spent entire day. Like, I had it all marked out where everything was going to go, and then so I mean, we have really nice landscape around the house, but those barberries are really distressed. Thankfully, yeah, nothing was cracked, and but again, that's one of those things if you don't pay attention to, you can end up with, because again, is going to be single digits here the next few days, and we won't get above freezing for maybe 2 weeks. Those things will stay in position like that. Any additional snow gets on them, that might be end game. So I'm surprised, like, well, I guess I'm not surprised that the news or something didn't talk to an arborist or whatever and say, hey, like, people's bushes and things like that, like, should they try to get the snow off of them? Because then it becomes a liability thing if someone shows or does something on TV and then they're showing it and someone damages something. But spruce and pine, great for starting fires. Here we call it fatwood because of the sap and terp. Yeah. The thing is, I don't use any spruce or pine because, as you said, the sap and the buildup in the chimney. So if it's an outdoor fire, absolutely 100%. All the campfires, boom, you've got it. So I limit to pretty much to hardwoods or, obviously just like a birch, but there's a rule in government to plant trees under power lines. So yeah, I have, where I planted my spruce, they were close to the zone. There's a big power line that runs past back there. And actually they put that, it was closer to our house. They moved it further away. Like the year after we moved here. So it's from my backyard. It's a major power line that comes through our area. It's maybe, 110 feet from my backyard. And the big steel poles, but it's not, you really don't notice it because there's trees and everything. But yeah, when I put the spruce up, I made sure there's a line on both sides of those of 15 feet or whatever that they continually just go and clear out the trees and stuff like that, so I can access them. But so actually the spruce aren't, they're on city property. So they're not on my property. They're, 25 feet onto city property. So it's an asset for the city, I guess. It's our good friend Arvuro. Hello. Hey, buddy. Job security for the branch cutting division. So city's got to deal with a lot of branches right now. There's a lot. I drove by the school campus and there were a number of branches down. So, and people are taking them down and just dragging them out to the end of their property. Which is kind of like after Christmas, all these Christmas trees end up at the end of people's driveways and the city takes them and shreds them or does whatever they do. But, yeah, there's a lot of branches being brought out right now. So I'll tell you though, it was, like I said, I've never experienced that I never experienced that in my whole life, by the way, but in Wisconsin, but in the 20 years here. And our neighbors removed those 2, 80-year-old oak trees that were between our property and theirs. I mean, literally like 15 feet from our house. They removed those in August. And the thought was, yeah, if you got a heavy icing, those could come down, or winds. And they already had some storm damage with those. So I was really glad because, I'm looking around us. I'm like, well, if any branches fall, I mean, we don't have a tree close to our house anymore. So Yeah. I'm still kind of getting the hang of like how to shovel and clear the driveway now that I have the extra concrete slab there. Um, because it gets a little close to where my neighbor's driveway is. And I just have to change things up a little bit. So I think I've got like a new strategy. Um, but it does, it does change the way the way I clear the driveway. Um, so Fist of Flurries, perfect name for a snowplow. So yeah, I think municipalities should name. I think it should be done locally. It doesn't have to be every truck, right? But you do that and the street sweeper, or maybe you do two snow plows or something like that. But um, I think from a civilian morale thing, it's a fun thing to do. Let people enter, and then they can come down and get a picture next to the vehicle that's named after them for the season, and a 25 or $50 gift card to a restaurant or the landscaping place or whatever it is. So I don't know. I just think it's good. I just think it's good. So I'm ahead of the game with my university course, the one I teach in spring. And so I have it built out, well, largely built out. I'm going to change something in it. What am I going to change? I don't know. I'm going to change. Oh, this is our Vero. If you prune your trees regular, yeah, you're right. And we've typically been in good shape with that. I think that this type of snow, hit everybody kind of out of the blue. I'm going to change. So the spring class it's pupil services non-discrimination. It's a class people have to take for their administrative license in Wisconsin. So it's always a full class. It's filled up already this year. But I am changing one of my sections, and we're going to address opioid. There was a bill that was proposed by Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin in September, and it would federally it would create basically standing orders so anybody could administer Narcan. And that also meant that you could buy Narcan over the counter and you could have it, at your house. You could have it. It had to be at a government or entity. So it could be like an Indian reservation, like a tribal office or something, or gathering community place, or a school or a government. That was the condition. Library. So, but that is going to be in the spring class of saying, now that this is out there as a school, would you, for non-discrimination, right? People non-discrimination. So you'd have to frame this from a non-discrimination angle. Are you addressing non-discrimination by providing I don't know if you're providing, let's say the Narcan is already there for you. You can get it for free from the state or whatever as a school district. Narcan or Noxalone isn't very expensive either. It's like $25 a dose. So relatively speaking, Noxalone's not very expensive. So you have to have some way to distribute it. So you put it probably with your AED boxes, right? Now the first aid AED, it's all kind of like in one area in schools. Or multiple areas, but those things are kind of there. There's a first aid kit, there's an AED, and now like Narcan or something. So look at Cole. Thank you, Cole. Appreciate that. So we'll have a really thorough one on Monday. So that's an actual Safety Doc podcast. It has a blog post and everything. But yeah, so we will be doing that. But it's likely that these aspiring school leaders are going to have to weigh in on this. So do you do this? Do you accept? Do you put that in for non-discrimination? Then is this a way to, um, are you demonstrating non-discrimination toward people who have, whether it be students or adults who have opioid addiction? The other, it's not really discrimination if someone, right, just is coming in contact with a fentanyl or something and inadvertently, right? Um, but this would be a case where you're saying we are. How would this be framed that you're possibly decreasing discrimination? That would be toward drug users, right? Heroin, other opioids, morphine. You're not getting your hands on morphine, but heroin and fentanyl, and so I'm going to let the students kind of battle that one out. So where do you go on this? Because one argument would be, as a school leader, of saying, we know that this is happening. Logistically, we have the numbers, so we know that this is happening in schools. And there are districts that have already done this: Iowa, Los Angeles, and I mean, Los Angeles would be like, well, I probably expect that, but yeah. So part of this would be, well, by doing this, we are saving lives in the moment, and we're giving more time then to connect people to services, whether they're kids or adults. So, and then, but how do you clearly link this in with your pupil non-discrimination? I don't know that. I have some ideas, but I want people to really dig into that, because again, there's a good chance they're going to be put on, not really on the spot, but they're going to have to make a decision on this. And then how do you inform yourself of what's the interface with liability? Because even I read the bill that Tammy Baldwin, has proposed, and it still isn't clear of what. And I've read some other interpretations, and some are from drug companies. Actually, drug companies have come out and said this, Congress, this sounds like a good thing for Congress to pass, right? But now it's over the counter if you do this. So it's actually going to be harder for some people to get treatment for, Narcan and Noxalone if you make it over the counter, and it might not be reimbursed by their insurance, and there could be shorter, these things could be in short supply once they become over the counter. And so I'm like, yeah, part of that though is, right, that's your interest of being being a pharmaceutical company, right? You look at this and say, well, but at the same time, they have it, it's a legitimate, these are authentic questions. So, but as a school, what is your response when someone says this is just condoning bad behavior, I guess, or dangerous behavior? Not only bad, but they're saying, this is condoning dangerous behavior, because what you're going to do, and there is this process called, oh God, what is it? I've got it in my book. Just a second here. Just a second. It's the Peltzman effect. Peltzman effect. Peltzman. Riskier behavior due to imminent, this was the vaccine, and anticipate government stimulus money. Meaning people toward the end of the pandemic would act more risky. Peltzman effect. So I'm glad I thought about that now for Monday. You'd have this thing called the Peltzman effect, possibly. So here's the thought. Okay. I will take this heroin possibly laced with fentanyl, because if it does go bad, over there at the post office or over at the library, they've got the Narcan, so I'm right across the road from that, or I'm in the library doing this, right? I'm just saying, or I'm in the school and they've got it. So, so there could be that argument of, well, people are going to be more risky because, right? So yeah, that's Heath is saying, if you think about it, ED209 could solve a lot of safety issues, and it is very motivational too. ED209 has a lot of hats. Those of you not aware, let me bring up ED209. So ED209 is from the movie RoboCop. And right there. So that is the robot officer. I remember when they trialed that out, that didn't work out well for the one guy who was role playing. So, wow. All right. Name your local DD 209. Make comply face. Bolo. Speltzman effect. So this will be, actually I should have wrote it in the blog post. I probably could go in and do it tomorrow because it's not published yet. But this will be an argument. I don't know if it's, where the research is on this. I haven't found anything concrete that says, once you introduce these things, the behavior then increases because people think there's a safety net there, I guess. That's going to be a question. You're going to have your data to answer that, right? So I don't know if I'm drifting back or the microphone is drifting away from me. I feel like it's a strange thing. Like all of a sudden here, I'm like 3 feet from the mic and the chair's not moving and I'm still touching the desk. So how's that happening? So yeah, it was a bit twitchy. So don't volunteer me for that. Have somebody else be the first one. Interesting stuff. So yeah, I don't know. What I do with my students is, the older I get, right? Because I've done this a long time. I've been teaching 19 and a half years at the university level. And a little bit is, right, I've got a PhD and I've been on TV and I've written books. So, and they're great students, but when I was a younger professor, I wouldn't play my own card. I wouldn't say, here's what I think. It was, I'm saying like, here's how to structure your argument of how you should analyze something, right? Like best interest of the child, discretion, Board of Education policy, state policy. Well, how are you going to have induction for this? So if somebody leaves the next person. So I have all these like strategies and this structure. And now I do that, but I'm also like, here's how I would do it. And I'm like, that might not be the way you would do it, might not be something that would fly in your district, but here's what I would do. And that's where I am going to come out on, definitely this legal with the reversal for the naloxone to reverse the effects of opioids. And I'm going to have a clear, like, here's what I would do if I was the, school administrator. And as far as like getting informed and helping people make a decision, but then I'm not going to just stop there. I'll be like, here's what I would do. I would say, yes, we're going to do this as long as, right, it meets, well, there's some things that have to be in place first. Like I don't let my students kind of ever play the fence. You can't fence it on big decisions. You can take your time with a lot of decisions, but you can't fence it. You have to go one way or another. And so in this, I would have to put out a condition of saying, okay, like the state, let's say this bill passes with Senator Baldwin, and there is now immunity, just like an AED, right? If you use an AED, you have immunity. Someone can't come back and well, anybody can try to sue you, right? But you'd have civil immunity that you can't. You wouldn't be responsible if you used an AED on someone that was having a heart attack and it was unsuccessful, right? Or you're trying to do the Heimlich maneuver and you break somebody's rib or something like that. So you'd have to have this immunity, published, or like put out there in government law, federal, and then adopted by the state. And so let's say that was in place. Like, would you do this? Would you put this on your campus? And then people be like, well, we have to budget for it. Okay, let's say that that's not a thing. Let's say the state, my state, has a $6 billion surplus right now. But let's say the state, supplies all this. They give you, you order directly from the state. They give so many to your district. Once they're used, you can't get access. They'll deliver more. Again, these aren't very, it's one thing is Noxalone is very inexpensive. Even now, it's not very expensive, like $25 a dose. So, but yeah, let's go through that. Would you? And then, so you're going to have your yes, you have to have a yes or no. What your recommendation to the board's going to listen to you. They trust you. You're informed. They're going to make a decision. But if you're yes or no on this, they're probably going to go with whatever you suggest. So you can say, no, I'm not going to do it because of, the liability of we have to train staff. And then we believe the Peltzman effect, right? That people would then seek this behavior because they believe there's a way to reverse it. We don't, whatever you want to put out there, right? Maybe it goes against your school culture. I don't know. Or if you're for this, right? What's your argument for it? Probably your number one is it's going to save lives, not potential. It would save lives. I mean, there's going to be a lot of data out there already. Readiness, emergency management, that story I shared out in Cincinnati where they're doing the vending machines with Noxalone. So yeah, definitely put that out there. And that would be your other one. And then, another one is going to be, it's going to give you time to connect people to treatment. Because instead of, they overdose and die, they have a reversal and then hopefully, would have treatment and have, better quality outcome. But so, I would probably go like 3 deep. I'd say you have to give me rationale. I'm working on this. I'm going to rewrite one section of the class yet before I open it up. And I'm going to say, you can be for or against this, but list then 3 supporting points. And I don't want a book, right? Like this is, it can be a paragraph for each of your points or less. You can, and then just go there. But these are great activities. When I get feedback from my classes, as professor of the year last year, people will say the activities are so vibrant and real. This is what people will encounter. And then when they get into situations like this, they know how to frame out an argument, how to inform a position. These are things I should say nobody taught me. I mean, I did learn them in my doctoral program, and I didn't learn them. Well, I shouldn't. I learned them from a few professors, but I don't know if it was ever a part of the curriculum versus a professor who'd be like, listen, I was a school administrator for 20 years in these districts, and let me tell you some stories. And then you'd be like, holy smokes. And that was always awesome to hear these accounts and then how people kind of handled things. So, for what it's worth, I think there's much value in these case studies. And I kind of shifted in my approach. I wasn't a big case study person until maybe about 5-6 years ago. But they're always authentic case studies. So as I throw something at somebody, I'm like, this actually happened, or it's happening somewhere right now. But I also am careful not to like get into something that's happening like local, or something that's happening unfolding real time in the state in like one district, because I don't want to, districts got to work through their own issues if they got something going on that's made the media. I'm not going to try to amplify that in a class, unless there are sometimes we'll do that and say, here's how the media is portraying this, right? So as a school administrator in this district, what might you be doing right now to get out, to help staff morale, or to support your school board or something like that. But yeah, so I have my students typically submit like three links to articles about something going on in education related to legal issues. And I pick one of the three and we go through it in class. But sometimes they'll be like, here's this district and here's something that went on. And it's like going on like right now. And it's so there's lawyers involved in all that. Like we'll stay on the sidelines of that one. Yeah. We're only going to know so much from an article or whatever. But if there's been like a lawsuit filed against a district, I've had times where if I can find the lawsuit, I will then, download it and go through it. And if it's public, right? And then we'll go through it in class and say, okay, here's the lawsuit that was filed. So here's what the suit is claiming. And so this is injunctive relief, or this is whatever. And, try to point some of the things out to people. So like they're trying to get a stay, they're trying to change. So this isn't like they're not suing for money or, but right. So, but here's what they're claiming. So like, what do you think is happening in the district right now? And people are like, I don't know, or, some stuff. And I said, well, here's, is my experience. Like, here's, oh my God. Oh my God. That is awesome. Oh, it is the Kentucky Batman. Wow. I've got to do this here for the Kentucky Batman. So we're going to look at this here. We can't bring in rain. Let's make it good here for the Kentucky Batman. So hang on there, Kentucky Batman. Here we go. What's going on? Wow. See another one. Wow. Last one for the Kentucky Batman. Wow. That's cool. Very cool. Will students be detained and charged for carrying opioids on school premises? Good question. This is a question that people are going to ask, right? When this bill starts to move down the road and a couple districts say, hey, we are going to, so opioids would still be illegal, right? That wouldn't change. There are districts, even CBD oil, there's a number of districts in my area which have policies against students being able to have CBD oil on campus. So I would think opioids, because, right, unless it's prescription opioids, but then a student can't carry a prescription oxycodone, for example. That would have to be in a nurse's office, and it's in a locked type of cabinet. There's regulations and all that. When I used to go through that in depth when I was a school administrator. So my thought is, right, none of that would change. You wouldn't be able to legally do that. So that would be handled as it's handled now. But it's a good question, though. That question will come up. So what I would do if this was class right now, right? What I would do is I would say, let's go over here on the slate, because I either got the room with a really nice slate or I got the whiteboard room, and I'd be like, hey, like let me go over here and let's write the questions people are going to have. And that would be one people are going to, would they be, these are, so let's put them out there and how we would respond to this. Social media is far more dangerous to kids than something. I concur with that. Social media is toxic for kids, toxic for adults. It's just it's bad. I remember the novelty. I remember the day Twitter started because I was driving back from the town over. I actually remember this extremely well. I was at the Menards, which is similar to like a Home Depot, or depends, I guess, where you live. But I was getting building supplies for our house, our fireplace room renovation projects. I don't know the year, but I know I was listening to NPR, National Public Radio, and they were doing a long broadcast, and Twitter had started that day, and they were telling people what a tweet was. And then National Broadcast, NPR, did their first tweet, and then someone else, had done a tweet back to them. And I didn't know anything about Twitter at the time or whatever, but I remember listening on this drive, and it was long back road because I took the levee road that followed the earthen dam all the way back to my hometown. It's real rustic. And I remember that. And then I was like, whoa. And then, the first time I got on Twitter, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. And there was that brief period of time where social media was a novelty. And then like I had Facebook until 2014, I think. And then I was like, this is a waste of time. And I thought it was very invasive and not trustworthy. Right. And I just, boom, ended it. And then they did all that stuff trying to get you back in. And I don't know if you guys ever remember if you were off of that. I've been off of it now for almost 9 years, off of Facebook. So I have Twitter, right, which is, to me, there's some entertainment value in that, and I don't feel like addicted to Twitter. I'm not. And then I have LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is just the more professional way to find some of the content that I put out there. And that's it. I do have an Instagram, which is really just to replicate my, some of the book stuff or some of the blog posts. I mean, but I don't do much I check Instagram once a week, and that's it. I mean, I don't have anything else. So, well, look at the Kentucky Batman has subscribed to the channel. Look at this. The Kentucky Batman is subscribed. Eddie's just left a super chat. Holy smokes, that Kentucky Batman. Look at him there. Super sticker. What a Kentucky Batman. So Taylor Lorenz has been suspended from Twitter. So I know the name. I don't know really anything about her. Yeah, I don't. I've seen the name, like most people don't. She's gone now. Yeah. Right. I look at this stuff and I'm like, what? I don't know a lot of these people. And as I said, for me, it's really an entertainment type thing. And, hopefully for a lot of you, it's like that too. But it's kind of weird that, we got to this point where it's, 200 character exchanges with people, unless you thread 1 of 17. But yeah, okay. That would have been the year. So I remember the day it became live. I also remember watching the moment that MTV started. Yes, the actual first moment at my friend Lyle's house and his sister Nan who was a punk rocker. She was in high school. They had their satellite dish out in the country. Those massive satellite dishes on a farm, and she was telling us that there was a certain time and this MTV was going to like start, and so we sat down and watched it. And they did a little intro thing, and then they did the Beagles video killed the radio star, radio killed the video star, Kentucky Batman, kill the radio star. I don't know what it was, but and I was like, oh, interesting. And we took off. So look at this. In college, we had Windows 3.1. Remember you had the computer labs in college? At least when I was in college, like you'd have to go to the computer lab and then you could log in from there. And it was always the room that had it was climate control, and they would have you touch like an anti-static bar. And you could sign up for a time. What crazy things, right? Those computer labs. I remember one school district when I first started out that I worked with, and the tech guy got a deal on bright orange, what was it, a Mac at the desktop, when everything was all in one, be about the year 1998. If you guys know what I'm talking about. But they were kind of curved, look futuristic, these Apple computers, but they were he got these things were bright orange, and the deal was nobody wanted bright orange, so the company cut the price like in half. So all the specs were fine, they were just hideous. And so he bought these, and he was really proud of that, even though like there was a little bit of pushback of people saying these things are ugly and whatever. He's like, they're completely functional. I saved, and the computers were expensive back then, relatively speaking. Like a decent, just one station, might be $1,000 back in 1998. In today's dollars, in 1998 dollars, actually, I mean $1,000. So, but I don't know. I still remember that the guy he was always defensive on that. I was like, it didn't matter to me. I get what you're saying, dude. I'm all with you. Not hearing it from me. Facebook is all ads. It's not fun. I expect it to die. Yeah, I would. You're right. I'm so glad I'm off of that though, because one of the things, like, it was 2014 when I left. I was just thinking and I was talking to a lot of cybersecurity people at that time who were like, yeah, it's just a bad idea to put that information out there, like any photos. And the thing is, like, you get other people, like relatives, are like, oh, my family was just young at the time. Oh, guys were at the park. But it felt really weird. Like I normally wouldn't be sharing this, okay, yeah, we did a picnic up at the, park by the zoo. And, then I wouldn't share that out otherwise with people. And I'm like, if I have some photos periodically, we would take, I can just directly send those to a grandma and grandpa or something. But normally, no, I wouldn't put those out there. But, there's people who I've been off of it so long, and, I no longer get ads for like a year after that. It was always, hey, you want to start your account back up, and I'd be like, no, I'm good. But it's, I don't know. LinkedIn is okay. That was more of a book thing. I think I started LinkedIn in 2019 when the book started, and I believe my publisher was really pushing that. So yeah, people respond somewhat. I've met some people there too. So yeah, I got a number of people over Christmas break that I will be calling or messaging with, like, or a Google meeting with. A lot of people like contact me, and in November, when I'm starting up the consulting again, I've had it going a couple of weeks now. It's going good, but I said, yeah, like it's over break. Like I've got some time. So I know your time's important too, but I've kind of run into this. I don't want to commit things while I'm kind of getting the consulting schedule set up. But so I just got an email from somebody saying, hey, just a reminder, like, let me know when you're available to talk over Christmas. So these are all like safety professionals. And so they'll have questions on some of the stuff I've been doing. And they're all good. That's all. Those are all good talks. So, but yeah, if anybody searches, that's one, it's one thing I always say when I do consulting, right? And I don't have to, look at this. Is that the Penguin? The Joker, right? Kentucky Batman, though, can take out all of them. One of the easiest things when I did got consulting going, everybody kind of knows me anyway, right? And these are clients I'd worked with in the past, so it wasn't that big of a thing. But I always say, if any of your new administrators, people who have changed since the last time, whatever, they're not sure who this David guy is and whatever, I'm like, just have them do a Google search, right? I look very good in a Google search. And that kind of ends it. Because, right, you see Google's, what's the first page that comes up, you see Google Scholar. What happens here? So let me see what happens when I Google myself. All right, let's bring it up. So, okay. So it says author. So that's good. It's got the 2 books. That's good. It's got my little bio here, which all sounds good. It's got my website, which is the professional site. LinkedIn. So going over here to LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn profile looks really good. So we're fine there. Google Scholar. So look at all the stuff I've published, right? Well, not trying, but I'm just saying, like, and then here's other, books that have cited. I know, like, a lot of this article is going to be cited a lot. Oh, look, like he's done recent stuff, 2022. So that's good. Twitter, and I typically am posting scholarly type stuff to Twitter, right? And my authentic stuff. So here's the show I've got coming up on Monday. So that looks good. Here's my website, professional, right? So got a blog post is, Amazon, my books, Amazon, YouTube right here. Here's the University of Wisconsin-Madison celebrating me on their Facebook for an article that I published in 2016. So interesting. Place that sells my books. Here's something about my books. Here's Audible, my audiobook, Barnes & Noble, my book, a podcast I was on, my book. Here's Google linking out to the velocity of information. eBay, someone's selling my book. Let's see what it sells for on eBay. $39, which is interesting because you can buy it for $22. So my book, me and my book was my profile picture, which I kind of look angry, but it's the one that I use on Amazon, and another picture, and then what else? Some pictures, a fireside chat from my university class. So, like, it still goes on. Here's an article I wrote for a journal. Here's my book, audiobook. Here's a press release for my book. Here's an article I wrote for a journal. So anyway, you can just kind of get the idea, right? Actually, my PBS stuff isn't anywhere on here. Interesting. Huh. I thought it would be. Here's a journal article I wrote, all on the first page. Look at this, right? So abstract and not too shabby. So that's the thing, though, right? I'll tell you, that sells it, and that is a collection of kind of curated, just professional things that I have no control over what appears in what order, right? But that has become, if anyone's like, well, who is this guy? why are we working with him? And, someone else just says, well, Google his name. And then, you know, so I always tell people I look really good for your organization in a Google chat. If a board member sees my name and they're approving a payment that you're making to me, right, for invoiced services, and they're like, well, who is this guy or whatever? And they Google it. I have a very scholarly profile, so Z at MySpace. Bolo. The video. Killed the Radio Stars. The first song. Yep, I remember. You got it. The Bugles. I remember where it was standing. I remember where the TV was that they had. I remember that, like, after the first 15 minutes of kind of watching the stuff, like, Lyle and I weren't into that. Nan was. And then we were like, enough with this. We went outside and we're doing demolition derby with riding lawnmowers. So out at his place. The Bugles. A cable remote with a wire and a slider to change channels. That is awesome. We had a TV in our basement that had a remote that was connected by a cord to the TV. And you would flick through the channels on the remote. That was the TV used for the Intellivision video game system. Wow, home computer, Coco 1 and a Coco 2. Wow, Tandy, yep. Yeah. I remember when Radio Shack was like the place to get computers back in the 80s. The Mac from Mimi's desk on the Drew Carey show. Wow. Mimi went to college at the same town I did, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. That's where she grew up. So Lennox. If you Googled your name with the word obituary after it in COVID, you get 20 pages of obituary died. Are you serious? I don't want to do that. I don't, but wow. Whoa. That's crazy. There's another David Proden out there, David D. Proden. He's a researcher in Thailand, but he's from not New England. He's from Great Britain, and he's produced a lot more as far as like papers and presentations than I have, and he's finishing his PhD. We email back and forth a few times because I tend to get contacted by people who think that I'm him, and they're like, "Hey, saw this presentation you've done. I was at this conference, and about the different semantics qualities of." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not the person. That's this guy. He knows this stuff, but I'm not him." So, but I got a hold of him and I said, what is the best way I could redirect people to you? Like, it was a specific email or something? And because I tend to get a lot of people, I think they just do a search, and we're so similar in like a Google Scholar type search that, there's some people that just think I'm you. So interesting. It's good to have a doppelganger who's like outperforming you. People they mistake like that guy for me. They're like, look at all this stuff. So I come out on the better end of that. I was telling them that, but yeah. In television, Tron, light cycles. Yeah, man, my television. Man, that was good. The only thing with it in television was the controllers. Like if you played a lot, you could really cut your thumbs up because you slide your card in, but it was kind of an edge around the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, but oh man, I have recently been thinking about how much I miss playing like Madden football. I had it up until like the 2002 version. Then I, once got married, kids, really didn't play that anymore. But I'm like, I would like to get a TV and even down here, get a TV. And I was going to take this room to my right and repurpose it into kind of like a lounge type thing. But the time has passed for that because my oldest daughter is almost 17 and she's not going to be here that long. And, my youngest, I could have made an argument when the kids were younger. Oh, it could be a place, a TV and a video game setup, but also a place I could have had video game setup. But I'd like to get a system and so I could do Madden football. I know I would like it. Just play against the computer. Like I don't want to go online necessarily play against people, but maybe I will. We'll see. The first cordless remote I saw was activated by sound like a xylophone. Wow. By the way, was it Ron? Was it you that was showing me the battery operated like dust vac, but like the supercharged one? Because I want to upgrade mine. I have a Dirt Devil, but it's like 15 years old and it's rechargeable, so it'll keep a charge for like 6 minutes, and then and there's some other issues. It's held up really well, but I want to get something has more power. But I still need to be able to get into like the crevices in my car, like between the seat and the console. So if I don't have that feature, then it's not going to really be of value. So, but also I want it to be portable. If that makes any sense. The last time I went to Radio Shack for a battery part for my telescope mount, the guy asked me what it was. And I was thinking, mumbling, a bomb. But I didn't because I like my freedom. Andrew, good thing. Now that's going to get tagged when they things do an algorithm goes through and finds it on here. Holy smokes. B17, Astra Smash, D&D, Decent System. Yeah, you're right. Andrew trying to take down the channel. ColecoVision, Atari. All right, Heath. Thanks for stopping in, buddy. Appreciate it. It was I had a number of those mechanical games too. I had a mechanical baseball game. Of course, you had the battery operate ones for a while, like the battery operate football and stuff like that, which was probably like circa 1978, 80. You put 2 AA batteries in and away you'd go. That was kind of cool. Although it was like the same thing over and over again. But I had which is really a shame that I don't have it anymore. It was completely mechanical. It was a baseball game, handheld, with different springs and levers and stuff. No batteries at all. And probably about 1980, something I got for Christmas. And I don't know whatever happened. I know I don't have it anymore, obviously, but it didn't break. So probably just a rummage something, but really sad because that was really cool. I also had in the mid 70s, very small, foldable, kind of like a razor phone. One side would be a solar panel and the other was like a game where you'd like be jumping over things or kind of like a little pitfall game. And I would say those are like from 76, 77. So they had to be like, I don't have them anymore. I don't know what happened to them. I thought I had them when I lived here, like that they made the move down here, but just bad stuff. Some of those things got lost. I bet that would be worth a ton of money. Like super rare. Like that'd be one of the very first Tecmo Bowl. Yep. I had a friend who just whomped me all the time when we played that. I was like unbeatable in man football and just incapable of Tecmo Bowl. Yeah. Pitfall. Yep. Also had Pitfall for the Intellivision, but so if I were to get a gaming system, if you guys can help me out with this. So I'm interested in being able to play Madden football again against the computer. I don't need to get on a network. Okay, this is just me. I don't need to get on a network and play against other people and to do all of that stuff. Um, but um, what what is it? Is it an Xbox? Is it a PlayStation? I don't even know what system is out there. I only want, let's say for now, like I only want to do this. I only want to play Madden football. Maybe and it's only going to be sports things. Maybe I'll get like national NHL hockey and Major League Baseball or whatever. But if I'm only going to do that, is that like an Xbox 360 that has Madden football? And then do I have to have an internet connection to do that? Because when I started, it was all cartridges, and then with my Genesis, and then it eventually became CDs with my Saturn, my Sega Saturn, and then I got a PlayStation back around, I don't know, 2002 maybe, and then might have been before that, and then I never got a new system after that. But if I was to get Madden football, you're saying like an Xbox, because again, a screen is super cheap. I don't know where I would exactly put it. I'd have to think that out a little bit down here, but it's not a real big thing. Like right? A TV is super cheap. So Xbox plus Madden. Okay, so the Madden game for Xbox One is $49. So which is like the same price I would have paid for it in 1980. Like I had the first Madden games, like Madden 1, at one point. But yeah. So okay. So that works. And then an Xbox will hook up to your monitor. Yeah, actually, I mean, that would be the most sensible thing to do it. I've got a lot of stuff in front of me. So every time I played, I would have to kind of finagle around with this. I don't have it set up real smooth. I should get a nice gaming chair, but this chair is doing fine. I've had this chair for 20 years, but a gaming chair would really be something. So, so is it an Xbox, Corey, an Xbox One, or we do have a pawn shop in Madison on the east side, a huge pawn shop. So, all right. So, what is there a specific Xbox? Because here's an Xbox Series S. Here's an Xbox. So this is where it starts to fall apart for me. It's like my dad's computer printer didn't work. They had the power go out 3 times, and something happened where it fried it. It's basically basic printer, and so I'm kind of stepping through. I'm like, well, I went to Best Buy. I'm like, here's one. Best Buy is close to him. It's like 8 miles away. For me, it's like 40 miles away. And he said, well, why don't you just buy one and then just come up and install it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can do that. It'd be easier if you just went over and I just told you which one to get and you got it, because then if anything has to go, just return it. But sure. But that's kind of like the way that I need help right now with an Xbox is I just need someone to say, Doc, you need an Xbox 3. Corey's like, you can do a 360. Or put a link to one, and then I'll be like, okay. So I want a black controller, by the way. So it's like $500 here on Walmart. Xbox Series X video game. Is this what we're talking about, guys? So you're right. I mean, it would make a lot more sense for me to find a used one that would, play that. But then, right, you got to vet it. I'm not going to go on eBay. A pawn shop would probably be a pretty good bet, because I'm guessing they check that stuff out when it comes in. So, but yeah, is this what I'm looking at here? Is this correct? Is this what I would be wanting to buy? Yeah, again, I'm only going to play one game on this. So it comes with a library of 100 plus high quality games, an EA membership. So I don't want to get roped into all of this stuff. Huh. I don't know. It's a little steep, right? It's a little steep for me. So, Corey, was that it? Eliza, that's what her name was. Go to Hawk Shop, 30-day refund. Okay, Corey, I got it. What am I looking for though? Like, there's different versions of an Xbox. Like, what am I? What does it work, Corey? But it's coming from Canada. Shipping's going to be horrible. I sold 2 of my gaming systems on eBay like 10 years ago. Big mistake. But anyway, water under the bridge. Xbox, just say Xbox 360. Yeah, I think what I'll do is, right, especially now with the economy, yeah, I can check out the pawn shop. Like I said, we have a massive pawn shop on the east side of Madison. What? So, Pawn America, I think it's called. It's been there a few times. Not much. But let's go here. But it's big. Madison is a big area. So, Xbox. So I'm guessing PlayStation's no longer around. All right, so they've got so here we're bringing some up on Pawn America. These are all white controllers. I don't want that. Don't give me. It's got to be Madison. What the hell's wrong with you people? What? So, all right, let's do this. All right, this is the one. So Microsoft 1787 Xbox One, 1 terabyte home gaming console, $199. Is this what I would be looking at, guys? Would this play Madden 23? Let me know. This item has been tested and works well. Okay, so right here, like, I'm very interested in this. Like, $200, okay, I could do that. No. 89 bomb, right? I just saw it. Corey, so this is not what I'm interested in. I should not get this. Okay, so Madden 22. Would this play Madden? Would this console play Madden 22? I guess that's my question, right? So the existing Madden 22, okay, so yes, this console would play it. Is that because my old consoles used to just continue to play stuff? I didn't have to always update the console. How old is this thing here? This Microsoft 1787 Xbox One. Guessing that thing's been out a while. Looks like it's in great shape though. Reviews are okay. What model? I don't know. Doesn't really. Oh, November 17th, 2017. Okay. Yeah. I mean, for the stuff I'm doing, I would say that would be fine. So, okay. So, guys, so you have this isn't a 360. Well, what's the difference between a 360 and this? See, that's the thing I run into, right, guys? So, what is the deal? What's the difference between this? So let's get out of here. So that one's not bad though. I'm interested in that. Madison. Yeah, that's why I clicked it. What are you doing? All right. So here's one. So this doesn't look as good because this only has 512 gigabyte. Plus, I don't like white controllers. So, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I don't know. Not a big fan of that. Come on. That's Walmart. This thing was originally $799. I don't know about that, but is there only one controller? I guess it's not a big issue. Let's see here. Yeah. Games, yes. Yeah, it only has one controller. Huh. Like I said, probably not a big issue because although like when I was younger, it'd always be my friends coming over and we'd be, battling each other in college, like all the games played against each other. But yeah, I assume it's not difficult to acquire another controller. It's a wireless controller. That kind of sucks though. I didn't know that. I think wireless controllers aren't as good. That's what I heard. Is a wired controller's better. So that just kind of ruined that. So let's go back here to Madison. What? Actually, I need to go there and just kind of walk around because I think, jackets, dress shirts, like all of that stuff. So again, let's do the store. Surprised there's only 4 Xboxes there, to be honest with you. I have wired is better. A lot of people have told me that the wireless Xboxes are not as good. So is this also wireless? I don't know. This looks like the same thing almost. Is it wired? Digital edition. Wireless controller. I don't want. I don't know. Problems. I don't know. I'll have to see. So, but yeah, I know I would enjoy being able to do Madden football. Actually, like my monitor's 27-inch. Now that's not gigantic, right? But like, just being here and being able to play it would be pretty cool. yeah, I don't know. So I'm glad we talked about that. So PS4s will be cheap too. PlayStation. So yeah, do they play Madden? So I'd have to take a look at that. Or do they still make the PlayStations? And um, so good. It's our good friend Jim. Look at this here, Jim. We're trying to find a gaming system here for Doc. So PlayStation. All right. I'm going to bring this over here. So a lot of PS4s out there, man. Okay, why are none of these wired? That is really getting to me. Do not like that. So this is a Star Wars PlayStation, apparently, $349. So not what I really want. I don't think I can get away from the wireless controller. I think that's just part of the game now. I don't know. It's too bad. Kind of sucks. So, by the way, consulting is going good. One of my clients said, "Hey, would you be willing to increase your time?" To which I was like, "Well, yeah, kind of knew that was going to happen." Which is not a bad problem to have, right? But I was like, "Oh, well, um, yeah." I don't know if any of you have followed the stock market, the Dow and the S&P, NASDAQ, but the last week was brutal. Almost a 3% loss, which is just unbelievable. When you look at that and you think, holy smokes, like that is, to drop that much, that's like 8-9 months of having your money in a high return bank CD that's gone. So in 1 week, and I don't think it's done yet. I mean, I think for years we're going to have a very stagnant market, but I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. And through the end of the year, I thought we'd have I hoped we'd have a little bit of a rally and things would be okay, and then maybe come down in January. But it does impact some of the things that I'm doing with some investments. Year-end trading is always tricky, and when it comes tax time and stuff like that, because it can mess with your capital gains and all of that. Can mess with a lot of stuff that impact your taxes if you're doing a lot of trading right in the end weeks of the year. I learned that, so I don't do that. But anyway, it's really disheartening to have that drop. Now, if you're retired or you're taking out minimal required distributions at 72, yikes. So there was an ad for bicycling insurance, usbike.com. Interesting. Huh. I have what's called insurance that covers that stuff. So that's just kind of weird. But wow. Yeah, I don't know. The wireless controllers, again, maybe that's just the way everything is now in gaming, right? I mean, when I got this is a wired headset, but you know, more and more it's getting difficult to find a good wired headset, that's the wireless. So, but all right. Well, everybody, I'm thankful we have this chat tonight. We have a great show on deck for Monday. I need to get things stoked again in the wood burner because it's cold out. It's 17 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to drop more tonight. So, a big thank you to Corey, to Jim, and to Solitude, to the Kentucky Batman, Arvuro. Appreciate all of you guys very much. So, man, thanks a lot. Our good friend Bolo. Yay. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Thumbs up. Thanks for watching those ads. Appreciate it very much. And your support. Like I said, we're about $30 away from where I would get a payment by the end of the year from YouTube saying, hey, you met your minimum threshold. Here you go, Doc. And my tax preparer will be like, holy smokes, you YouTuber, you. So if that'll happen or not, I don't know. So look at this. Oh, the penguin. Yeah. The penguin, Andrew, that penguin is about 15 years old. It was my daughter's. It's been downstairs in the closet, and she called it the babing. Instead of penguin, she called her a babing, and she'd set it on the floor next to her when she watched the Teletubbies, and she would feed it Cheerios, the babing. So now I just put the stuff in the back there because I've been doing a few chats with family around the country and things like that to make it a little more festive, and then those things will be gone. But the penguin is there, and so the babing. So, hey, appreciate it, Doc. Thank you, Solitude. I'm going to send this out your way. Appreciate you. Thanks. Thanks for the stream and chat. Take care. Cool. See you guys Monday. Got a good one on deck there. Great stream, Doc. Thanks, Ron. Say hello to the Kentucky Batman. He brings the presents to all the kids in Kentucky. It's kind of a second round of presents after Santa stops by the Kentucky Batman. So the kids are like, holy smokes, 2 rounds of presents. Well, that's what happens when you live in Kentucky. The generosity of the Kentucky Batman. So our good friend Bacon, we're just ending things here. But as always, we hope Dismore's IGA works its way to the Midwest, especially Wisconsin. So although I had a terrific hot bar experience yesterday at festival. I got there just when they put out the fish fry. So boom. Perfect timing. Be safe, be well. Thanks. And the wrenches. Thank you guys. Oh, look at the Kentucky Batman is back. Hey, awesome streams. If that penguin gives you any trouble, let me know. Wow, DLD was live. Good friend. Not even dignifying that response. Oops. Whoa. Holy awesome streams if that penguin gets you in any trouble. Wow, you guys. Look at this. It's the Kentucky Batman. Wanna just hibernate to about February 15th. I'm with you. I was glad to be outside today, kind of, working, getting some snow off the tree. But I'm just psychologically, I'm not accepting winter. Even though I've had a snowplow a few times and shovel and stuff, I'm just like, it's so different for me in summer versus winter. Summer, I'm out all day, working yard, biking 100 miles, just boom, all this stuff. In winter, that just stops. Like and it's really difficult to do that. Like I said, I kind of just like make it through winter to get back to spring and when it's warmer. And thankfully we're, not too far away from January. So January and February be really cold. And then, March starts to show a glimmer of hope. So then April, things warm up. But yeah, so the Kentucky Batman is awesome, right, Pagan? Cool. All right, guys, I am going to take us out of here because I gotta heat the house. So there's bad things will happen. And that would be all, that would not be good. But Monday, I've got a great show on deck. It's already out there if you want to hit the notify ding, ding, ding. That'd be appreciated. So, all right, I will take us out.
How were the beans and chili that you had for breakfast?
They were delicious. Thank you for asking. But now I am very gassy.
I'm sorry to hear that. Who let the frogs out? Pew, that stinks very bad. I have to open the window. Oh no, my cap flew off and it was sucked into the engine.
Holy smokes, the engine just cut out. We should use the decide model to help us make the right decision.
Mayday, Mayday. I am declaring a beans and chili emergency. Please advise for landing.
Flight 019er, 2 miles northeast. Turn left at 90. Maintain 4,800 to establish an approach. Engine 5, dispatch. Pockets of fire all around.
As chaos erupts, torrents of conflicting yet urgent messages gush from media outlets. What is the magnitude of the incident, and what should people do to protect themselves? Dr. David P. Perodin teaches you how to prevent mental burnout by observing indicators and building a robust member check network. Reporter James David Dixon of the Detroit News proclaims, "The velocity of information will empower its readers." Drawing on current events, history, interviews, and scholarship, the velocity of information is an education in the way people react and adapt to change in this fast-spinning world. Never has it been more important to sift facts and stories for truth and meaning. There are teachable moments on every page. Buy The Velocity of Information, Human Thinking During Chaotic Times. Available from your favorite bookstore or online retailer.
Describe the odor. Is it like when something electrical is burning? And so on. Ridiculous, right? We don't shift the investigation to the reporter, but that's covertly what the school district thought needed to happen to prevent their investigation scrambling principals from burning out. And as this paragraph smolders, it would be prudent to consider bringing students with disabilities from the sidelines of safety and center them to active roles of detecting and reporting threats. So we had a rather difficult meeting. Upon due diligence of examining the reporting system, I informed the district representative that I could not justify modifications to the existing model, as such changes would make the system less accessible to students. Well, that was a short chit-chat. The district folks believed, or hoped, that the threat input system could be modified and maintained with fidelity. I wasn't in alignment with that hypothesis, and so I was thanked and given notice that our partnership would be over at month's end. Business is business, but in school safety, it's never as simple as that.
Holy shit, a ghost. Do you mind moving out of the way? You're blocking the TV.
Oh, shit. Sorry, man.
It's okay. Thank you.